Rodney McLeod signed with the Browns last week. Safety has some history playing in Jim Schwartz's defense. McLeod on NFL Network's NFL All Access or Total Access, talking about the defense he's going to be playing and some of the players he's going to be teamed up with on the Browns.
Up front, man, Myles Garrett. I think, as a defensive back, those are your best friends, right? The guys who apply pressure on the quarterback, and we take advantage of that in the back end. And what I'm more excited about, to be honest, is the defensive back group, I had the pleasure of lining up with Juan Thornhill, UVA guy, Grant Delpit, and then these talented group of cornerbacks led by Denzel Ward, Emerson, and Newsome. Man, I'm telling you, watch out.
And Jack, when you see the look on Rodney McLeod's eyes, he knows he's played in Jim Schwartz's scheme. He knows what's going to be asked of these guys. He looks genuinely excited.
I wanted Rodney McLeod to start in this defense, so he was my peak name to go after to start opposite Grant Delpit, and to get him as your third safety is nuts. The guy is genuinely good enough to play. Last year, he sort of moved more to the box rather than in the past. He's always played more as a free safety. But that is the dream for a guy, to be your third safety, that he can come in and play dime, but at the same time, if either Thornhill or Delpit are off the field, he just walks straight on. He knows exactly what he's doing, incredibly smart, played really well everywhere. Top 10 safety for PFF last season. I'm a massive fan of his play. And if we'd have signed him to a cheap deal, it was only rumoured to be about $2 million in free agency. We don't have the actual details yet for his Browns deal, but it's not likely to be over $2 million. But him as a starting safety, he is that good. And the fact that he's going to be our third choice safety gives you massive options. And it also, again, it puts the pressure on. If Thornhill and Delpit aren't playing well, it's not like we're talking about your Ronnie Harrison or your Bell or your Hickman's going to have to step up, and in which case the players in front of them know there's no pressure. Rodney McLeod is the sort of guy that you go, hey, you're going to get benched for 3 games. You're bringing in a guy that legitimately can just take their job. And that is really, really good for competition's sake. These guys have to be on their best game, or we'll bring in some guy that is fully worthy of starting in the NFL behind you.
The other thing, last week on the show, we heard Jim Schwartz talk about Rodney McLeod when he was playing for him in Philadelphia, and saying the thing about him is he communicates. People know in front of him he's going to be telling you what to do. That, when I heard that, I'm like, that was missing from the Browns secondary last year.
That was definitely needed last year. It was messy at times. And I think it's one that they've done a better job after that. John Johnson was a phenomenal addition. He was coming and brought in to do a role that didn't really suit what his skill set was. And I think they've done a good job addressing that since, and much more calculated with their moves of not just getting the best player on the market, because he was the best player on the market at that point, but they're getting the guys that are fitting of the scheme of what they need them to do. So I'm genuinely really, really excited, and phenomenal numbers on sort of forced incompletions for a safety. And they've got that with Delpit, with Thornhill, with Rodney McLeod, 3 really, really high-rated players for that on the PFF metric, and whether that's forcing an interception. The issue is I don't tend to like looking at, does he get many interceptions? Because a player getting like 3 interceptions across an entire season isn't a good measuring stick of who's great, who's bad. Whereas forcing incompletions, stopping players catching the ball, that all 3 safeties there have great numbers for the last season.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I agree with you wholeheartedly about John Johnson as well.